And cheers, y'all. What's going on, everybody? Cheers, Gary. So we're going over today's whole intention is to welcome you guys to the remote retreat. We've obviously pivoted quite a bit from doing the original retreat in Joshua Tree to doing a purely remote. We actually added a day. So we're going to do a 6-day on Saturday. We're going to go over the whole schedule. Today's whole goal is to cover everything we're going to be going over, to give you guys a little bit more insight and to share some more details, go over questions, and just to hang out with you guys. And while we're doing this, I'm honestly going to be inviting people into the Facebook group, having discussions. How about you, Karen?
I also feel like today would be a good day to go over introductions for anybody who's new, who's never heard of us, who doesn't know what we do. For all of those people, it might be good to just give a little background, especially for me, because if any of you have been following Coach Mike, you probably don't know a lot of my background. I've just been showing up in his videos and you're like, Surprise. Who's this girl? What does she know? But we do both have pretty relevant overlapping backgrounds that is part of what is making this health retreat possible and why we're so excited.
Bingo. Yeah. So as we're doing this is like a fun day too. And this is where I'm going to I like to be really transparent with you guys. Originally, the goal of this retreat was to have it be in person in Joshua Tree and then have this remote feature as an add-on. But back in September, we had Hurricane Helene had came through the Western North Carolina area and just basically like pivoted everyone's plans. Like was a lot of not only damage being done, but just a lot of things and implications from that. So we wanted to pivot, but I wanted to add value for you guys. And originally we were actually charging $1,000 for this pass. And we decided to make it accessible to everybody so that nobody affected from the storm could miss out, or anyone that I don't want financial barriers be the reason you can't join this. However, we're going to also have our GoFundMe that you can, at your own discretion, donate to if you're so inclined. And if not, no worries. We're here to hang out, add value for you guys, and ultimately just support you. I'll kind of put that right there. And then we're going to, again, go over the schedule. I'm really excited, but I want to ask, we made a post about this, but I want to ask you guys too. And I'll go first, then Carol, I'll let you go. And then we'll ask everybody else, what topic are you looking most forward to? What is your favorite? I put this in our survey, and this is the one that got the most hits, was meditation, mindfulness, and lifestyle. And I believe that's yours too, right?
Yeah, so that's definitely the topic I'm most interested in. That's much more my wheelhouse. So I guess this would be a good time to give you guys a brief intro on me. Yeah. So I'm a 500 RYT yoga instructor. I do that only part-time now just because I'm raising kids. I'm pregnant. I like to have a nice boundary with my yoga teaching relationship. But there were times that I did teach a full 10, 15 class a week roster. And yeah, that was really nice. But now I really am looking more to switch gears into discussing some of the topics that yoga and meditation and that whole world give. And how it kind of overlaps with just the general idea of health and fitness, because people have an idea of what yoga is. People have an idea of what meditation is. You think of people in yoga pants, wrapping themselves up like pretzels. Like that's the go-to, idea of what yoga meditation is, but it's really a lot deeper than that. And true yoga has far more to do with your mind and your mindset and creating a mindset that's going to benefit all areas of your life regarding health and wellness and fitness. Than it is about purely about the physical asanas. The physical asanas are great. They have their place. But I'd really like to dive on that topic in particular. I think that one's on Thursday. Yeah. Dive more into the nuances of what yoga is, what meditation is, how you can incorporate into your daily life, how it can be really accessible, and what that will mean for your future self, looking back 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. If you do incorporate some of these practices, it'll really level up your game in all areas of your life. I'm speaking from personal experience and also just what I've seen out there. So yeah, that's a little background on me. I also have a Western medicine background. This was years ago, but for 5 or 6 years, I actually worked in professional healthcare settings in hospitals and for doctors' offices. That's where I started my journey in quote unquote health. I was always really big into nutrition back then. I just kind of self-taught. I read a lot of books, and obviously going to school for medicine, you do learn a fair amount about nutrition. But I found working in that field that something just didn't add up. People were just always sick. And I just felt like I didn't see a lot of the just overall health and wellness ideas coming into the Western medicine world. And yeah, and it just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I belonged. So I ended up switching gears and going down a whole nother path. I was a singer for a while and wrote music,
which
and
is a
heavily
like I love how
into
you just like briefly
Yeah,
overstate
just-
that. But that's like a pretty
Yeah.
interesting version of the story, maybe a little bit less relevant to us. But actually, one of the things we pivoted from going to the remote retreat that we're not going to have, but next year and the following years as we continue to build this for our in-person retreats, we're talking about even having like sound bathing.
Yeah, totally.
Being able to do different types of in-person things that we can't really mimic as much online.
Yeah, it's just a little different, but
we
yeah.
just pivoted a bit.
Yeah, and next year we're totally planning for, I mean, once recovery and everything's set in and everyone's looking a little more stable here in the Asheville and surrounding areas, we definitely want to do an in-person retreat next year. And sound and using sound as healing and as a space of mindfulness is a really great tool. That's something that, ironically, so my music career, I actually did have quite a successful music career for a while and was a professional singer and did that and wrote music and all these things. And then I did licensing and stuff like that. But being an artist for a while, I still felt like something was missing. I ended up getting into jujitsu, and I did that for like 6 months to a year, somewhere around that neighborhood. But I got injured, and that's what brought me to yoga. So when I got injured, I was kind of thinking, oh, I had a hip injury. I was thinking I might need a hip replacement. I might need to like go the traditional Western medicine route of fixing that. And just by chance, I ended up getting into yoga and decided I wanted to become a yoga teacher and just doing a whole new route. So that changed everything for me. And just seeing the results of what yoga and meditation and these mindfulness practice can do for the physiology of your body, like your physical experience, it really worked miracles for me. So that's what brought me here. But I do notice that all my backgrounds, both my Western medicine background and my singing background, all of those elements are kind of incorporated into mindfulness practices, and sound is a huge one. Just plain notes. I mean, I play a couple instruments and stuff like that. It's very healing and can be a wonderful tool. So for those of you who don't know a whole lot about fitness or aren't into the fitness world at all, but you're very curious and maybe you're an artist or maybe you're a musician there's ways that you can incorporate music or ways that art and creating things translate over to fitness and can just blend together really nicely. And that's kind of what my life's purpose now is more about, is just seamlessly blending all these different things into a full package of mind, body, health. So yeah, that's a little bit of background on me. And that being said, I'm obviously looking forward to Thursday, although all of these topics are really interesting.
So speaking of Thursday, I'll highlight, just so we have each day, again, number, we have it scheduled, we have times, we're going to go over that as well. But this is what we're going to be covering again in a little bit more overview for Thursday that I'm excited about. We're going to be collaborating for pretty much all the streams. 2 of them we're going to do solo, and then I'm going to have some guests tagging in where possible, and then we're going to do follow-up content, which is really cool. So if you guys end up watching pieces of this and you're like, oh, I want to go back to that, we're going to have replays as well. Just email or comment or reach out wherever you're consuming this. We're going to have a way for you to get a link where you can replay it, whether it's on Amazon, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever it is. And that's going to be really, I would say, valuable and helpful, because we're going to be going over things on each day that you're going to probably need to go back through. We're going to have downloadable resources, PDFs, the actual presentations. We're going to have workouts. And another thing we'll add on each day is a unique resource to that day. So for example, the one I'm excited about, not just to present on, but to add value for, is our functional fitness and movement day. That's where we're going to be going over our actual, sharing you a workout program so you can take action on that right away. And tomorrow even, we're going to be doing again, mindset goal setting. It's one of a topic that I've presented on at this point almost hundreds of times. And I'm really excited to share. I'm going to be doing my updated planner with you guys. We're going to be going through this together as we cover the presentation, then strategically actually creating a planner for the next 100 days. I'm going to be making mine, and I'm going to invite you guys, if you want to, especially if you're watching or you go to our Amazon, we actually have the planner. I'll highlight it right now on Amazon so you guys can see it if you're over there. This isn't even a sponsor. They did send me the first book of this for free to try, but I actually just ordered another one because I really believe in this product. And you can use whatever you want, but mapping it out. So that's going to be tomorrow. That's day 2. Then when we go to day 3, or on Wednesday, we're going to nutrition for energy and clarity, especially mental clarity, and being able to discuss not only tips and sustainable habits, but how it all comes together. And a unique Carrie is actually going to speak to, I think, somewhat of a different perspective. I've talked about what I would consider a more traditional body type approach, which is like endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph, which you like. people from different schools of thought and nutrition may disagree or agree on that. To me, it's about what's accessible, what's digestible, whether it's like truly accurate or not, and you fit in those categories. It's really like how to just break it down in a way that feels accessible. And Carrie's going to talk about maybe a little bit, like it's still related to body type, but how would you describe some of that approach that shifts a bit?
Yeah. So the philosophy I follow for nutrition is a little more on the Ayurvedic end. I do have, I would say, more of a blend to my nutritional approach, but I very strongly follow the principles of Ayurveda, which and if any of you are into yoga or know, is kind of a sister philosophy to yoga. It comes from Eastern Indian philosophy, and it does deal with body types, but they're just described a little more differently. So we categorize body types as far as the elements are concerned. So we'll get more into this obviously on that day, but
oh, thanks for the share too.
Oh, nice. So yeah, basically we'll get a little more into it on that day, but just as a brief overview, he's talking about endomorphs, esomorphs, and ectomorphs. Ayurveda categorizes body types into kapha, pitta, and vata, and those are qualities of nature. So kapha qualities are primarily earth and some water qualities. Pitta is the quality of fire, some water as well. And then vata is the qualities of air and ether. So everyone has a certain constitution when they're born, meaning a balance of these certain elements. And as we go through life, the philosophy is that our constitution will shift and change based on both our external environment and our internal environment. Internal environment, again, is what you're eating, what you're consuming, how you're thinking, your relationships, all these different things in your life. And external environment could be like the topography of where you live, the weather of where you live, the climate, like all these various things, the culture of where you live can affect these things. So Ayurveda looks at the process much more nuanced. It's not as science-based. It's more intuitive-based. I say it's kind of a more feminine philosophy or feminine approach to nutrition and wellness. And basically the philosophy is you figure out what your type is now. You compare that to perhaps what your type was at birth, which we can tell by various different things, your appearance, the way your bones are structured, your family history, and these various things. You can kind of get a good idea of what someone's birth constitution is. And then you use both food and certain practices, physical practices, fitness practice, mental practices. You use certain practices to bring your body back to a state of balance, which will inevitably improve all these areas of health. So it's a much more kind of holistic and nuanced approach to nutrition and diet and exercise than the traditional Western approach. But I've used it for many years. I was able to correct a lot of my own imbalances and things that were going on simultaneously with yoga. And I also do weight training. I haven't done as much because my first trimester of pregnancy was pretty hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
But we're getting back to that now. But yeah, I've used these things to correct a lot of my own. And I've also worked with clients, personal clients and groups of clients to help them correct imbalances. Now, I am by no means an Ayurvedic doctor or a high-level practitioner. I have some basic knowledge that I can give you. But if we go over the topics and you find that there's a lot of interest in these subjects or you're very curious about what this means, there's some resources that I'm going to point you to. We'll leave, like he said, we'll leave a bunch of information in the comments and for you guys to take home. And you can totally seek out a specialist and go to a regular Ayurvedic doctor, same as you would go to a regular doctor. So that's a really cool option as well.
So that covers on our nutrition topic. So we're just kind of like, and we also just went live on Instagram too. So those of you that are joining in, we're just basically covering the topics for every single day this week. Today, really the goal is to just go over the overview, introduce ourselves, go over any questions that may come up with that. Then we covered tomorrow's going to be going over mindset and goal setting. I'm actually going to go through the next 3 months myself with you guys after doing a presentation and actually map out my goals. So the cool thing is we can come back in 3 months and see, hey, did we actually create that? What does it look like? It'll hold me accountable because I like sharing it live. And then guess what? We can come back in 3 months and you guys can share yours as well.
Yeah.
What's up? Thanks for joining. What's going on?
Nice. And we can also be like, hey, in three months from now, I'll be looking obviously a lot more plump, but 3 months from now, we'll look at our goals and look at where we're at and look at what has changed and then talk about our retreat coming up for the following year for our 2025 actual health retreat and talk about what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
In relation to our goals. Because if we go 3 months from now and we haven't hit any of our goals and we're not accountable whatsoever, obviously that wouldn't be a huge testament to what we're saying. But if we look at 3 months from now and we're like, hey, look at all these areas of improvement, look what's happening, look how much has changed. It'll be interesting to see what happens in another 3 months or another 6 months. So yeah, have you guys thinking about the timeline ahead.
And that like kind of transitions. So that's going over nutrition after that, which is Wednesday. Then Thursday, we're going to be going over again meditation that Carrie spoke about. Then Friday, we're going to be doing functional fitness and movement. And then finishing it on Saturday with building sustainable habits rooted in family and relationships. Because the whole point, yeah, we miss you too, man. So many stories to tell you, by the way. But being able to not only, all right, here's the plan, whatever, but like truly root in and tap into a community and an accountability system that works, that's sustainable. Because if you think about it, when we say rooted in family too, it doesn't have to just be your biological family that you may not have a strong connection to. It's the actual community you're creating and curating and the choice of who you want to have relationships with. Because I think there's, from my experience, a perspective of, well, this is like blood family. And I have a great relationship with pretty much most, if not all, of my blood family that I stay in touch with. But I'm fortunate to have that and to curate that and craft that. But not everyone wants to have that. But you get to pick your friends and the people you have a relationship with, your partner, who you're having kids with. What does that look like? Those types of things that become really powerful as well. And then even the gym community or online community, even here, we get to create this community with our Facebook group. And then we'll also send out follow-up information. If you guys aren't already a part of the LOF University on Facebook, this is a free Facebook group we have. We're just supporting one another.
Your social media community, which can also be a place of accountability and like just support.
Exactly. And the ironic thing, oh, hey guys, happy to be here. Yeah, happy to have you too. So here's the interesting thing. I'm sharing this because also it's just sharing Facebook users. So I don't know who it is. I'd love to tell you like your actual address you by your name. So if you're commenting on Facebook, it's maybe this sounds silly, but just like let me know who it is so that we can like say
it doesn't show up on our live stream and tell us who you are.
Or maybe you don't want to share who it is. Like on Instagram, I can see.
Yeah.
What's up, Saeed? I see you. Yeah, we miss you too, man. But yeah, just something to throw out there. So now let's circle all the way back because I wanted to go over this. And Carrie, you'd mentioned like a little bit about your background and being able to speak from here. So for whatever reason, anyone that's joining me that doesn't know my background, or maybe you're not familiar with all aspects of my background, I figure I'll share a little bit more in depth to that, a little bit about story. Because I thought this could be a fun day too, sharing stories, where we're coming from and updates to that. Because I think knowing more about someone's background helps deeper resonate and have either authenticity or I could be vulnerable to certain things that are working out. And part of it, I'm going to start with, I always kind of grew up as someone that was into sports, but I was really kind of like overweight and obese most of my adolescent and childhood growing up. So I had a massive impact on my mindset, on my perception, and all the components around that. And then at one point, I actually got cut from my varsity baseball team. And the coach, I'm paraphrasing, was like, hey, listen, you're too big. You're too slow. This is not our style of baseball. In high school, especially for that team that won a state title the year before. That was so hard. It's like we had won a state title the year before. I thought I was a shoo-in because I was on the JV team for that. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to bump up to varsity. It'll be kind of shoo-in. I got to run. I'll catch you tomorrow. Lots of love from Pakistan. Yeah, thanks, Saeed. I appreciate you, dude. Always good seeing you, man. Like, can't wait to get some jiu-jitsu with you too. So yes, that's someone that actually came to Rogue to train for, I want to say like 6 months to a year and had to go back, but always a fun time and just like a character of a person. But going back to the story of when I got cut, I had a choice, right? And we all have choices. I could say, okay, I'm going to double down on just being sad and disappointed in my habits and not really do anything about this. Or I'm going to take the feedback that I got and take action on it and focus on what I can control. So I was really fortunate. Not everyone has this. My parents were really supportive and my community and family are really supportive. So my parents paid for me to go get a strength coach. They paid for me to go to see a nutrition coach and be able to work through these things. So I went from like 230 pounds to like 155 pounds or 150 pounds, that's way too much weight to lose in the time window I did, which is why they ended up paying for me to go see a coach in nutrition. Cause I'm just going to take this into my own hands. And then as I'm working with my coaches, so shout out to like Acceleration Sports Training in New York, Long Island, like John Fury and the whole team, they have always been there with me since day one, pretty much transformed my life. So going from a athlete or what I thought was an athlete to being cut and coming back on the team, that was the start for me of like, oh, wow, there's a lot of value in having a good coach because you could just be guessing and thinking, and having an actual coach that's creating a plan that has information that has seen this time and time again was massive. So then I lost the weight. I made the team again my senior year. We ended up going to playoffs, but we didn't win states, but it was still a really empowering experience. And then I went to college, and then I ended up kind of bouncing around a little bit, uncertain where to go. And I ended up going an athletic training program route and shifted even from there. And throughout this whole experience, I also found jiu-jitsu. And prior to that, I'd done martial arts. I had got my black belt in Taekwondo. I'd done junior Olympic qualifiers and tournaments and won certain local medals and things like that. But there didn't seem to be at the time, professional career path where you can make real money. And I didn't feel secure enough in that. So I stopped Taekwondo at about like 12, 11 and transitioned to just pure baseball and sports. But then when I went back to college, got into jiu-jitsu, found Red Boy Jiu-Jitsu on Stony Brook University's. They have like a campus flyer posting center. And I just saw one of the flyers. I'm like, oh, I want to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And
it was similar to me with yoga.
It just
came
came across
flyer, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me just see if that can help me.
And grab. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I honestly was like cutting classes quite a bit. I wasn't really going because I just was in a really depressed state in my life. And I share this to say, like, when you come into contact with certain things, I think it's obviously really valuable. So being able to recognize, oh, jiu-jitsu came up at the perfect time. And I had my first series of coaches were really supportive. Mikey Triangles, Paul Rodriguez, Eric Uresk, especially Eric Uresk. He was like, hey man, if you want to do this, you could totally do this. You could like make this a career. You could like go to Vegas. You could become a professional fighter. You have the ability to do it. So I did that. I stopped everything going into my senior year of college, right before I was going to graduate, stopped everything and moved to Las Vegas with my buddy, Johnny Blangiardo, and had roommates. I went to Drysdale Jiu-Jitsu and Extreme Couture, got onto the fight team there. Thanks largely, honestly, I'd give it to Eric. He didn't like say, hey, you got to put this dude on the team, but he gave me like, this is where to go. And then I was able to prove myself and they brought me onto the team and all those fun things and stayed out there for just under a year, gained to level up, become better and better and better, came back. And then that started my fight career. Won't go into all the details. I'm already kind of getting a little long-winded, but for you guys to understand, being able to focus on what I wanted to create and taking a risk. Because like my parents are like, listen, man, if you leave college now, the likelihood of you graduating goes down, which they weren't wrong. Yeah. And they were like, listen, we saved up money to pay for you to go to school. But if you leave, you're on your own. You're an adult. You make your own decisions. We're not going to pay for school. So I ended up taking that risk and betting on myself. And that's what I invite you guys to, as you're going through this, bet on yourselves. And even more specifically, though, we'll talk about this in one of the presentations. It's this idea of being ready. Are you actually ready? From a 1 to a 5, if you're not at least a 4 or a 5, we get to really look at that. What I mean by that is like 1's like, I'm not even thinking about it. 2's like, okay, it's kind of on my radar. 3 is like, I'm thinking about it and I'm starting to get ready to make plans. 4 is like, all right, I'm taking action on this. And 5, it's like, I'm creating these habits, maintaining them. I'm ready to go and scale it. Yeah. So inviting that. And if you're not at like at least a 3, 4, or 5, first looking at like what is important to you. And then when you're ready, you can start to take action. So going past the career part and then being able to follow that career, I was able to become a professional Muay Thai fighter. Injuries along the way caused me to retire from MMA, go into specifically striking. I was able to go to Thailand. I was able to travel the world basically and become a head strength coach at top team. So worked with amazing quality fighters. Lurdzilla was probably my favorite fighter I got to work with and get coached by. And then his coach, which was amazing. And then being able to work with like Pascal Schroth, who's a multi-time world champion. Now, when I worked with him, he hadn't won a world title. He won multiple like regional or promotional titles and finally won a world title after that. So seeing my point of all this is at a very high level, what works and what doesn't. And throughout all this in the academic side, going to school for exercise science, going to school for nutrition, going to school for sociology and psychology, working with organizations like Noom for health coaching, getting qualified, now being a board certified health coach, as well as all these other credentials I can get into the relevant days, allows me to share and combine these things and build a team in a way that I think is very unique. Marrying martial arts to a healthy lifestyle and putting all these disciplines and skills where like Eastern philosophy can meet Western philosophy. And even Carrie, with you coming in and sharing, while this may not be a sole expertise in nutrition, opening up people's mind to have a different access point to me is valuable. Yeah. So I'm going to pause for a second because I just hit you guys a lot with my background. I'm curious if there's questions or what, if anything, you guys may want to go into or talk and discuss about. But I'm going to pause. Then I'm curious what that brings up for you too, Carrie. Anything like, because you've had, again, that background that you touched on and where they overlap, and even like just presenting more meditation opportunities for me in the last year has been fun.
Yeah. Meditation's a big one. I would say like of all the things I've done, I did Western medicine for almost 6 years. I did jiu-jitsu for almost a year. I was a singer for consistently like 2, almost 3 years in performing live and things like that. And then doing yoga, being a yoga teacher now for, I don't know.
Oh yeah, Nina. Like Thailand.
7, 8 years, something like that. Meditation was definitely the thing that changed my life the most, just because it doesn't really matter what your background is. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't really matter what your relationship to fitness or health is. Meditation is basically just becoming aware of your own mind, which, like, if you think about just becoming aware of your own mind and how it works, it's going to translate into every other area of your life. It's going to translate into you becoming more aware of what you're eating, why you eat what you eat, when you eat, what's the commonalities around eating. It's going to have you becoming more aware of when you're sedentary, when you're moving, how you feel when you're sedentary versus when you're moving, how you feel when you feel connected, when you're, having a conversation with someone as opposed to how you feel when you're alone or when you're with family or when you're with, X, Y, or Z. Meditation just plugs into everything. So as a natural byproduct of spending time in meditation, spending time, let's just say, becoming aware of your own mind, you're more than likely going to feel compelled to start asking questions and understanding why you do what you do and what might be more effective. And there may be interest in just beta testing that, just going out in the world and being like, all right, well, instead of eating at, 10 p.m. right before I go to bed, let me try eating at 6 p.m. and see what that does for me. How do I sleep? What kind of dreams do I have? When do I wake up? Do I feel rested when I wake up? All these various things. And then to his point, when we talk about mindset and goal setting, like keeping track of everything is so important. Writing everything down. As ridiculous as it seems, and we live in this highly digitized world now where everything is online and everything is kept in our phones, our schedules, our calendars, and all these things. I find it so valuable, and Michael has attested to this as well, to just write things down, write down what my day is going to look like, write down my intentions for what I want the day to look like. And not just like, oh, I'm going to walk the dog, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel today? How do I want to, like, and how you feel. And if you can see, okay, well, this is how I said I want to feel. When I eat a, box of pizza, do I feel that way? Does that align with, does it give, maybe in the moment, I'm like, okay, I feel happy. I'm eating this slice of pizza or whatever. Nothing wrong with pizza. I mean, I eat pizza all the time, but just a noticing for you, for your body type, how these different things that you're eating and taking in affect your mind, your emotions, your mentality, what you feel compelled to do with the day, your motivation for getting things done. Or on the opposite end, if you're not eating that much or you're eating super healthy, but you're just overworking yourself and you never rest, like these are all different versions of what can be, quote unquote, an unhealthy lifestyle. Or let's just say, I don't like to use the word unhealthy. Let's say an unsustainable lifestyle compared to the goals that you're trying to set. So it's like writing out the goals and then going, am I behaving in such a way where this is aligning with what I want my life to look like, how I want to feel day to day? And to Mike's point, having a coach is huge and pivotal. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at with either meditation or yoga if I didn't have really good mentors in the beginning that coached me, and also community. We talked a little bit about that too. That's going to be our topic on Saturday. Having a community of people that are in a similar place as you, that you can bounce things off of, that you can even just complain to and gripe to, or people that you can ask like, hey, what do you do when you feel like this? Or what's a good tool for this X, Y, or Z? Or like, just getting together with people who are aiming to have a similar lifestyle or who have some shared goals, like some overlapped goals, is really important in keeping us motivated and keeping us feeling like we're not alone, like we're supported. And a coach seems like it's interesting. I feel like in this day and age, we're getting closer to a point where people are realizing like, oh, it's normal to have a coach for like, or like a therapist. Like it's normal to have someone to help me support in my mind and emotions. It's normal to have support for my fitness goals. It's normal to have support for my meditation and yoga goals. Like, yes, I'm not going to say nobody, but I'd say a very small percentage of the population is doing well and succeeding at just doing it on their own, learning it on their own, not having a community, not having any more mentors, because everybody gets to a point in all of these realms, whether it's your fitness goals, your nutrition goals, your meditation, your yoga goals, your mental, like therapeutic, emotional goals. Like everybody gets to a point in these realms where we get stuck, or where we feel like, what I'm doing isn't working, or, oh, I feel like I've been doing everything right. Why am I not seeing results? Everybody experiences that. So having other people who have the knowledge or who have the experience, who've been there, that you can go to and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing X, Y, or Z, for them to just look at it and make sense of it for you is so, so valuable, and can help you feel like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. Like I'm not, it's just a matter of, I didn't have the right formula, or I didn't have, these certain little habits, or, oh, I can adjust and spend 5 minutes a day doing X, Y, or Z, and it'll change everything for me. So there's a lot of value in all that. And that's a lot of what we're going to be hitting on this week. So I'll pass it back to you after my rant there.
Yeah, and I want to tag in because we had some comments on the different platforms. So anyone that's, so it's so funny. As we're,
the comments.
I'm curious if the audio, especially on Instagram, because video call me because they see that I'm live. They want to like try and tag in. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But what I saw Helene was how impactful and how important that can be. So just doubling in every area of our life and come become my most exciting audio is coming in and out. Okay. So yeah. So that means I wonder if it's because let me just.
Yeah, this just said it wasn't connected. And so it might be like the connection issue. See, my most exciting health goal is the turn I'm.
Okay. So yeah. So most exciting health goal is turn. I'm taking and changing my food habits, like Carrie's pointing out. Meditation is going to be added to my toolbox. Nice.
Yeah.
Nina. Okay, sweet. Yeah. Thanks, Nina, for the heads up. I just had to I love this. Always happens from my experience. I don't like speaking in absolutes, but this happens quite frequently. And I'm going to play with the Instagram positioning. Whenever I'm doing something, like I purposely mute things and whatnot, but I can't kill the internet, right? Because I need that. So like people are going to try and reach out however they're going to try and reach out.
Right.
But yeah, if you guys want to share also your goals, that's what I want to invite. Like that's why we have that question. Share your most exciting goal. Yeah. And then let me see. Let's see what Helene's saying to it. It is becoming normalized. Start asking for help. Bingo. And relying on people for help versus back in the day where it was like sign of weakness. Right?
Yeah, so true, Helene. Such a good point. Like people used to I've literally had people in my past where I'm like, oh, I'll go to therapists. And they've said like, oh, therapy. I thought therapy was for losers. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
to
like
each their own, but it's working well for me. Yeah. And now, oh my gosh. And now that's really changing. Like with online stuff, like all this remote stuff, like BetterHelp and these sites where it's like, you don't even have to go to the therapist, literally just log in. If you have an internet connection, you can talk just to a professional who, can help you work through these things is so great. And you're going to start seeing that, like, that's what Michael does. I mean, like you can literally just work with a trainer remotely and somebody who can evaluate. Let me see what you're eating. Let me see what your day looks like. Let me see what your work looks like. Let me see what your body type is. Let me give you these exercises and evaluate what exactly will work for you. And then just give me an hour, once, twice, 3 times a week. And in 6 weeks, you're going to feel like a completely different person. Like all of that can be remote.
And that's the other idea, just to tag in, is like this, the difference between changing and transforming. This is like a really important principle I want to invite for you guys to take time to think about. Something I got from, shout out to Choice Center University. It's like emotional intelligence kind of class that I went through, a program that someone had recommended for me. Actually, my first MMA coach, Eric Ures. He's actually in Thailand right now at Tiger Muay Thai. He's going to be doing, so if you're in the Thailand area or in Southeast Asia, Tiger Muay Thai has got a great coach on the staff now for the next month, so go check them out. We were both coach at Phuket Top Team together for different disciplines, and I love Phuket Top Team. Tiger Muay Thai is literally down the road, so technically they're a competitor, but I just tell you where the good peeps are at. You can do whatever you want with that information. But that notion and being able to – now I'm getting distracted by just like another thing that tapped in.
Oh, okay. We're talking about like remote stuff.
Getting tapped into – what works for you. But the thing, we were talking about this before too, remote's great. The accessibility is great and being able to have that support. But on the flip side, we also get the idea of being in person, analog, going back to that's extremely valuable. That's actually one of the other topics we're going to talk about this week is digitally detoxing. Yeah. So what's ironic is I still work with clients in person now since the storm, a little bit less and different. I have my team working with them, but we still do a lot of remote coaching. And now now we're working with insurance. So I'm actually going to take this as a moment to pause real quick. And we're going to plug something. We're now able to start working with your insurance companies and we're working with different ones. So if you guys are interested and you want to work with us, you don't want to have any cost to you out of pocket. We're actually taking on, I have 6 spots filled. We're doing 10. We have 4 more spots. And I love AI. Like you can go thumbs up and it'll like do that. We have 4 more spots left that we're going to test out for the next month for being able to bill insurance, seeing what works, what doesn't. So it costs 0 out of pocket to you. Even if you have a deductible copay, we're working on how do we like make that work. especially for the first 10 people. So if you're interested, either put a comment, DM us wherever you're watching this, and we can get you guys set up. We have a whole intake form for that. So again, especially since the hurricane, we shifted a lot of our business model to support people that may not be able to, especially with the financial implications of things.
Normally have access.
That would have access to it. So that's one thing. And being able to have that support, if you know you need that in-person accountability, that's okay too. We can facilitate that. And there's different ways to do it. But being able to be aware, because think about it. The reason from my perspective, anyone I talk to that has a coach or professional or consultant, even in the business world, you're not doing it for the information, because the information's out there. Literally with AI, with Google.
There's too much information, to be honest. It's
that's
overwhelming.
The flip side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's deciphering and filtering that information. That's what we're going to do each day this week too, is like go through and filter out information and highlight what our kind of key points are. Yeah. But on the flip side, being able to really have the connection, the relationship is what it's about.
Someone you trust.
Being able to have someone you trust and having the experience, because when you pay for a coach, in my opinion, you're paying for accelerated results and you're paying for accountability. And that's something that AI can kind of do with the accountability to some degree. You can program and you have systems, but everyone out there, just tell me honestly, tell me in the chat if you want to, how many times have you snoozed through an alarm?
Right.
At least once, probably, right? I know I have. And that's because there's not a human connection to it.
Yeah.
If there was a person like you woke me up this morning, right? Like,
I'm better than an alarm.
Yeah. And being like, hey, all right, it's time to like, even though I woke
Very
up and I took care of some things and I went back to bed, but being able to have a person there, it's a different experience. Like if your mom came into your room and woke you up for school, or your dad, or whoever was your caregiver. Yeah. I'm thinking of it as a kid, right?
Oh,
the likelihood of you sleeping through an alarm versus the likelihood of you sleeping through someone coming into your room and getting you up, it was different.
Yeah.
So I get that value. The human connection component is what I'm kind of coming back to.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to pause too, because now we're already like at the halfway point. I realized I want to also go live on TikTok. And I was going to see if I could borrow your phone.
Yeah.
We're going to download the TikTok app. I'm going to log into it. I'm going to get live on TikTok here too. And I also want to pause to see if you guys have questions, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, on Amazon. Let me pull up Amazon to see if I missed anything. Yeah. Okay, cool. And we'll see if we have any comments coming in on Facebook, because I know I have to like keep toggling back and forth. So let's see what we got.
There we go.
What about the VA communicator? Yeah, that's a great thing. That's actually something we're working on too. Yeah. So, and also happy Veterans Day. Today's Veterans Day. I realize
we're working with Medicare, Blue Cross. So
with Aetna, we're going to like reach out to the VA, and even working with government Medicaid contracts, like acquiring contracts to be able to facilitate these services to support the community, whether it's with grants, whether it's with, again, contracts through the government, third-party agencies. And if there's any of you out there that actually specialize in that, you want to work with us or support us, I'd be happy to work with you and collaborate, because we're building our team every single day and every single week. Yeah,
we're looking for a lot. Basically, the moral of the story is we're looking for a lot of different ways to become accessible to more people. So instead of just having, people pay the ticket price for our services, we're looking for ways where we can make this more accessible to more people. Part of that is going through like grants and nonprofits and just getting funding so that we can run our program and bring it to the community and have the back end paid for. And the other part of it is, hey, looking at insurance companies and partnering with insurance companies so we can be like, hey, at least a portion of our services can be covered by your insurance company. You might have a deductible, all these different things, but we're really trying to make our services accessible to a wider range of people, especially for people who need it. Because we've just seen a lot of things change since Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, and things that have been on the radar even for the business. But now it's just creating a more immediate call to action.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask, can you like sign in? So
yes. And even saying like, even wellness services in general, we're both feeling like, we have friends who are doctors, who are MDs, who have these kind of traditional trainings. And we're starting to see a lot of doctors. And I had a couple guys in one of my yoga classes recently, and they were neurosurgeons in Asheville. And I just see a lot of people coming to this place where they're recognizing that Eastern and Western both blend together really nicely. And there's a lot of different tools that we can use as far as functional fitness goes, as far as meditation and mindset goes, and these various things that can help us avoid things like surgery. Like for me, thinking about hip replacement, I started doing yoga and meditation, and I have hip problems no longer. So it's like, there are a lot of different things that we can do as a precursor to the more extreme measures of Western medicine, or I should say like the limits of Western medicine, because Western medicine has amazing things too and has its place. And I'm really grateful that I live here and that I have access to those things. But Eastern medicine also has a lot of great things too. If you can find people who are willing to blend, who have the knowledge, who have done the research, who can find access points, like to Mike's point, somebody that you trust, because that's a big thing too, right? Like we talked a little bit earlier, like there's so much information out there. There's so many, like if you had no idea what to eat and you just Googled like how to eat a healthy diet, like there are literally infinite diets out there to choose from. And depending on your body type and how old you are and your hormone profile and all these various things, like different people would give you different diets.
Or even like philosophical beliefs.
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
If you're wanting to be vegan or vegetarian, not just for nutrients, but
and all that stuff ties in. I mean, the placebo effect is real. So what we believe and how we feel about what we're eating is a big part of how healthy we can eat. So just basically like finding somebody that you trust and you can be like, okay, I resonate with this person. I can tell that you're sharp. I can tell you've done your research. I can tell you're educated. I can see from your client list and all these people who have told me, or who I've seen the before and after photos, I can see that you're solving this problem for a lot of people. I trust you to curate the information and give it to me. And I'm willing to try and put the effort in on my part to see if I can get the results. So finding that person, like I said, that you trust, instead of just trying to disseminate endless information with a very limited educational or no educational background related to any of these things, is quite overwhelming. It's easy to see why a lot of people are like, it's just like, forget it, like I'm just going to live my life. I can't look at all the new studies, this and that. What was the next one?
So this is a good one. Helene's is sharing some great stuff because just got really good insight. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here on Instagram. So everywhere else we're going to stay live, but it's going to take too long to, look, it already, I lied. As I was saying that, TikTok already downloaded, so I'm actually going to get logged in. We're about to go live on TikTok here too. So if you guys are on TikTok, we'll be there. But let's see what Helene, you were saying. So just
get with the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina and the VSO, and she helped get funding for the low-income veterans. Nice.
Yeah, awesome. See, that's clutch.
Yeah. There is a lot of good programs in Asheville for grant funding and different funding if you want to bring something to the community. It's something that the one thing that I will say about Hurricane Helene in Asheville is like, it was probably the best place for this kind of hurricane to hit because we already have had so many systems in place. Like even well before COVID, we're a very tight networked community of overlapping business owners and people who have very similar goals, which is freedom, creativity, expression, health, inclusivity, like all these various things are pretty common themes in Asheville. So as hard as and as difficult as this has been for a lot of us with no water and no internet and no phones and no power and homes destroyed and cars and all these various things, we are a bootstrapped community that's used to kind of just like doing things on our own and being connected and sharing resources. And there's been a lot of effort that's gone towards funding for bringing all of these different services and the let's say the Asheville philosophy to lower income or no income individuals. So yeah, just tapping into that is really nice. It's something I'm grateful for being here despite this tragedy. I mean, it would have been a tragedy anywhere it hit, but I'm grateful that this area is pretty well supported and connected. Yeah, that being said, that's kind of our focus here. This health retreat is going to be more like stuff that we can be like, hey, you as an individual, these are access points. This is what you can do. Let us know what you're interested in. We'll talk more about these things. And this is kind of what you can expect from our our upcoming health retreats, our actual in-person retreats. These are a lot of what you can expect, both what we're talking about and actually seeing that implemented in a real world analog setting, because that's valuable too. I will say it was the case with you and the case with me that both of our, careers and our history leading up to this point, we had both in-person coaches that held us accountable and digital and like community, more like virtual community spaces.
Like resources and options.
I totally use both of those things, and I appreciate both of them for what they offer.
Oh, what's going on, Simon? It's going good, dude. Thanks for joining us. By the way, we're just covering, again, day 1 right now for our health retreat. We added a bonus day on Saturday, so technically it's going to be 6 days, not 5. And we're just kind of doing our introductions, overview for everything. We kind of covered those topics, but if you guys are joining in now, you have questions, if you want to hear any more details or something that's coming up. And again, we also have the replay that we're going to be sending out. So if you did miss parts of the live, you want to see it all, we're going to be sending it out via email, or if you're whatever platform you're watching us on, just shoot us a message, reach out to us, and we'll be able to get that to you for our newsletter. And I'm actually hopefully going to be getting on TikTok here before the end of the live stream, but we'll see. The rest of the week will be on TikTok as well as all our other platforms. And I think I'm logged in.
I'm going to be talking a little bit too, just because in the nature of where I'm at in this pregnancy, I'm like 4-ish months pregnant.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'll be incorporating even on the day that I am solo, the meditation mindfulness day, some things that regarding pregnancy, because that's just where I am. And I know there's probably plenty of people in the world out there that are pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant. And that'll show up a little bit throughout this course too, just how this might relate to pregnancy and different things. Because man, oh man, the influence of having a good foundation as far as meditation, mindfulness, health, fitness, and nutrition is concerned pre-pregnancy is monumental, you guys. Like it will make or break both your pregnancy, your delivery, your labor and delivery, and your postpartum experience. Like not having a good foundation of all this stuff. So for those of you that want kids in the future, are thinking about conceiving, or for those of you that already have kids and didn't have that foundation laid, you know how monumental it is to have all these pieces kind of in place, or at the very least have support. I mean, like there's like a lot of markers that we're going to be talking about, but like the support of the community, the support of your family, and like to Mike's point, doesn't have to be your immediate family, it could be friend, family, whatever. Around these things will really make a big difference in your overall life experience and your ability to show up for yourself and be healthy and be present and be a good parent, or, you know, be a good parent for yourself. For those of you that don't have kids and don't want kids, like you have to be your own parent too. So all of these things, when we talk about pregnancy, laying foundations and having the pillars of what you feel like your overall health and wellness are still relative to people who choose not to have children or don't want to have children or can't have children, because you're still responsible for yourself. Or if you're married, you're responsible for yourself, and to a degree, you're responsible for your partner's health as well, because how you're showing up for yourself and how good you feel and your mind, your mental capacities, and all these different things that are going on affect your partner and how they feel and how they might show up for themselves. And, you know, even as we get older, we're very still monkey see, monkey do type people. And I'm sure all of you have heard this. Michael and I echo this quite a lot. You're no stronger than the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if your partner, especially if your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or whoever is not healthy, not happy, not showing up for themselves, it makes it,
how is that gonna
it makes it really challenging to pull yourself up and hold yourself up, and also still be able to hold the relationship in, because relationships are a lot of time, energy, and effort. The relationship with yourself, the relationship with your partner, the relationship with your kids, your family, your friends, all of those things take energy. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that on the community day and on the meditation mindfulness day. But yeah, these are all pieces of a pie. We only have so much pie to give. So you want to be conscientious about what you're giving, what you're getting, what you need, and how to stay nourished. Because if you can't stay nourished, you're going to find it's very difficult to show up in all these other areas of your life.
Yeah. And I think being able to piggyback on that, again, going back to when you're creating your dynamic with family, support, your community, being mindful, like there's always something we'll ask someone who wants to work with us, because it's a relationship, right? So it's almost like they're not just interviewing us, we're interviewing them. It's a two-way street. It's like going almost on a first date. So when we do that, we want to not only know like, hey, do we kind of vibe together, but also we always ask all of our coaches, and our intake forms ask, do you have buy-in from your partner? If you have a partner, if you have a spouse, if you have family, if you're living with other people, if you have roommates, whoever it is, whatever that community is, do you have their buy-in? Have you guys talked about this? Or even on the same page? Because let's say Carrie and I are you know, we live together, we are engaged, we have family, we have kids we have a whole system or dynamic and family environment we're creating. If we're not on the same page, and let's say I want to do these health retreats and I want to have my business, and Carrie just has nothing that she wants to do with it, that's okay to a degree. But if there's hey, I'd rather you be spending time with me to do this, that's going to potentially become a problem. Or if it's, hey, I'm working on adding strength training to my routine because I want to be able to be more functionally sound with my kids to play. But if that time is going to impede, let's say on our date night, for example, or a time that if I don't have any more bandwidth to give, where Carrie feels neglected, or I feel neglected, or any of that, it's going to influence how you can show up. You could have the best coaches in the world. You could have the best resource. I could literally write you the perfect program and the perfect plan. But if we don't have your buy-in and we don't actually have a realistic application and you want to do it, it's not going to work. And the best analogy I give is for anyone that enjoys steak, but I'll try and use another analogy instead of steak. For anyone that enjoys, just think of your favorite food. And you had an appointment, or you had a date, or you had a scheduled meeting at that restaurant or whatever it was. Would you miss it? I've asked that question at least hundreds of times, if not thousands. I've only had one person. This is actually, and I appreciated the honesty from this person I talked to. We ended up not working together. Nothing against them. It's just like, this was a very clear indication as to like, all right, we're not going to be a good match. Was I asked him, have you ever missed a steak dinner with and they were married. This man was married, with your wife that you were looking forward to? He's like, yeah, actually, we've not gone before because I've just been so tired. I'm like, ooh, that's something to look at, because as important as this is, if you're not willing to show up for your favorite stuff, we get to look at that. We get to readjust. And they actually went a different direction. They actually transparently took advantage of our free post-call workout program that we have. They bought our bands. They did a 4-week workout program with the bands, and they did it on their own. And now, did they see, I'm going to be transparent with you guys, did they see weight loss? 100%. Did they see strength gain and muscle add? Yes. Did they see the same results they would have had if they had coaching and they had the buy-in and it was a little different? Yes. It would look different, and no, they didn't get that. But kudos on them for, again, being honest with yourselves. So kind of want to pause there because, again, we touched all the days. I want to see if you guys have questions, especially since we just jumped in on TikTok.
Let's see.
Thanks for everyone that's joining, checking in. Again, we're going day 1 right now, going over the overview. If you guys are anywhere else, I'll jump around to and we'll see. Also, what I would suggest, check out, we're live on Amazon as well. We have a lot of products, not only that we're going to be talking about throughout the week, but for each day, there's going to be specific products that I use, that Carrie uses, or that we like for that relative product. Like, for example, tomorrow, we're going to be talking about goal setting and goal management. And I'm going to be going over my planner. I'm actually going to grab it right now just so you guys can see it. And you can order these things off of Amazon. If we're on TikTok, the TikTok shop, like Instagram has products, YouTube, whatever the platform is, you're probably going to see it. But this is blank right now. What we're going to do tomorrow is I'm actually going to fill this out with you guys. So we're going to do a presentation. We're going to do a workshop. You'll get a digital version, not of this exactly, but of how to write this stuff out. And then you can always order it. I would recommend, if you order it now, you might have next day delivery with Amazon Prime. So it might be worth going on to our Amazon shop and ordering this from the live stream. But we're looking at spiritual, physical, intellectual, social, and emotional. That's the wellness wheel that they have. So I love that. Again, 1 to 10, where's our wellness at? Then we're going to look at the next 3 months from each component, 3 things we're going to do, and laying all this out. And again, I'll get into the details. But these are the kind of things that you can take advantage of, why I recommend getting into our Amazon shop specifically, because I have that in the carousel. You can easily order, like literally show up the next day. We have our bands on there. We got some really cool like fitness stuff coming in, even yoga mats. And then you were talking about, I think your mom got this for you, grounding mats. So like a variety of things can be helpful with our wellness.
I want to tag in a little bit here and just say that from my personal experience and from the experience of other people I've talked to on this wellness journey, that having the right tools for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish do make a big difference. Like something as early as, I've told Mike this story before, but when I was younger, I used to ride horses. And when I first started riding horses, I didn't have like horse pants or like the boots or any of these things. I would just show up and wear whatever. And I got a private trainer at some point, and my private trainer was like, before our session, I want you to go buy a pair of riding pants. I want you to go buy a pair of boots. And that was a big investment for me at the time. I was only like 16 years old. And I was like, man, I'm going to blow like $200-$300 on like this outfit. But I kid you not, I put this outfit on, I showed her for class, and I took it way more seriously. It's like a weird psychological trick that we can do I feel like this works for all people. It's like, you've never done business before, go buy a nice freaking suit. Put the suit on. You're going to feel like a different person. You're going to be able to show up in a different way. And having these little tools, like for me as a yoga teacher, the pants I wear are important. The mat I use is important. The meditation cushion I have is literally one of my most prized possessions. I've gone through a few of them and I found one I really like, and we'll talk about that on Thursday. But like, these are tools that made a big difference for me. And I've used different tools and I've found the ones that work. And we have the reasons why we're attached to the ones that we are, but not, they just create a couple of things. They create a certain like character identity that can help you almost like, I hate to use the word fake it till you make it, but can help you step into a space of consciousness or projection of yourself that you might not have otherwise had access to. And they also help support you. So like, even with my meditation cushion, like physically, from a physical standpoint, sitting in meditation for an hour, I got up to some point where I'm doing a couple hours a day. Like sitting in meditation for a couple hours a day for most people just never doing meditation before is very impractical. It's not going to work. It's very uncomfortable. It's very physically uncomfortable, which is, again, distracting. The mind is already super distracted anyways. So finding the right cushion for your body where you can sit and feel comfortable and you're not distracted by your leg falling asleep, your foot falling asleep, your back hurting, your body, you wanting to move, all these different things is really, really important. You're not going to be able to reach certain goals that you set out for yourself if you don't have the right tools, or if you're not at the very least thinking about what tools am I going to need to get me here and making a list of what those tools are. So that's part of what Michael and I are really going to try to do for you guys is we've already curated some of the tools. We've already been there. We've done that. So, you can pick the tools you like, or different tools are going to make sense for different people based on what it is that you're focusing on, or where weaknesses are, what your goals are. But having the right tools, wearing the right clothes can affect having the right mindset and being able to hold yourself accountable and showing up in a certain way. And why not use that hack? Like, some of this stuff, like wearing we've talked before, like when you come home from work, put on gym clothes. If you don't work out in the morning, you want to put on gym clothes. You can sit on your couch and watch TV and eat. You don't have to go to the gym, but just put on gym clothes and see if it, with a little bit of meditation, just see what the awareness does, like how you feel when you wear the gym clothes, what you might feel inspired to do. These are little tiny adjustments that you can make if you're like, I'm not ready to make any changes, but I can totally come home and put on a different set of clothes and just see what that does. Spend a week journaling. How did I feel putting on my gym clothes when I came home? So little things like that. It's like this stuff is doable and accessible for anybody. So yeah, I'll let you tag back in here. We're almost done.
Yeah, we're like getting towards the end. So like also everyone feel free to throw in whatever questions or comments you have too, because today was, again, very much about introducing everything, getting the ball rolling. Whatever platform you're on consuming this, you could always reach out to us, whether DM us or add a comment if you want the replay of this, if you want the additional resources, you don't want to miss out on anything. Again, we also have a GoFundMe up that you could, this is all free, but we were actually the game plan was originally charged $1,000 for it, but I wanted to make it accessible to everyone since the hurricane that's come to Western North Carolina. And also if you're watching and you're like, hey, I want to work with you, but I don't think I can afford it. We now have insurance as an option to leverage. But to that point with the buying, that's one thing I want to touch on that I think is really important. Even if we have someone that's working with us through insurance, there's other ways to get buy-in. What I mean by that is having skin in the game. You can have it financially, but you can also have with actions. So one of the things I would suggest to you guys, everybody watching this, there's like two things you can do right now, cost nothing, and will actually make an impact today. One, take pictures of everything you eat. You don't have to measure it. You don't have to weigh it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to send it to anybody. Just start taking pictures of everything you're putting into your body. Water, coffee, food, snacks, drinks, whatever is going in at every single time of the day, take pictures. The most common thread that I hear from clients or people I talk to about this, like, yeah, I wanted to eat this, but then I thought about having to capture it and document it.
Take a picture of the bag of Doritos.
Because you remember you're talking about aligning, right? Like aligning our resources. And this is another thing we'll talk about tomorrow during goal setting. Yeah. We want to align our resources with our goals. So that means time, money, energy, bandwidth, whatever the resource is, align that with our goals. And your success rate is going to drastically go up. And if not, you're unwilling to do that, that's a really great opportunity to look at. So it doesn't have to just be money buying in. Money is a great buy-in. But if that doesn't hold as much weight for you, there's another buy-in. Yeah. So taking pictures of your food.
Time can be a good buy-in.
Time can be a good one, volunteering. But the other thing I like is social media for this context. Announce on your social media platform, in a story, in a post, whatever, what you're going to be doing. Yeah. What's your goal? So in 100 days from now, what do you want to create? And that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. And we'll give you more. So I'm actually kind of giving you guys stuff we're going to be going over tomorrow. Yeah. But those are the things that really add value. And if you guys have other questions or thoughts, I'm happy to dig into it. If you don't want to share it publicly because other people are seeing it, again, shoot us a DM. I already had, while we were doing this live stream, I had people trying to call us and shooting us private messages, which I'd rather hear from you guys in a private setting than not hear anything at all. Yeah. And that's a really powerful piece. The last thing I'll give you is an actionable is get an accountability buddy. It's probably an obvious one. What I mean by that, it doesn't have to cost you anything. We actually create that in our coaching programs, but just find somebody that has a goal that aligns with yours. Yeah. Whether it's a friend or you go online and you leverage that resource, find someone you can communicate with and either have daily or weekly touch points and just share that with each other. Like I mentioned Choice University before, an emotional intelligence, like a clinic that I did. I have friends from there. Maybe there was 40 of us in the initial class. we still have most of those people will stay in touch in a variety of ways. And in one of them, we have a group chat where it's a yoga accountability group chat where exercise and mindset or meditation. So every day when I'm meditating, I can share and check in. I actually haven't commented in a couple of days in that group chat. That reminds me, circle back, see where that accountability gets worked back in. So that's pretty much everything, guys. And that's like where we'll bring it back home. Again, the goal for each one of the streams, we have our schedule. We're going to live stream for an hour. If you guys have questions and you want us to hang out longer, we'll based on that, I'll count for an extra 15 minutes or more if needed to hang out, ask questions, do all that. But that's pretty much it. And again, we're going to have products and curated items and resources, downloadable PDFs. There's literally thousands of dollars of resources I'm sharing with you guys. This is why we had the original price point at $1,000.
Done the work. We're giving it to you.
It's like literally I'm giving you everything.
Yeah.
It's the key now is going to be up to you. Will you do it? And that's, again, going back to why people pay for coaching. People pay for coaching because even with the information, it's having the accountability, having how to adjust. Like my favorite thing that happens when a client does this is they'll call me or text me or one of my coaches and say, hey, I'm about to go eat out. Here's the menu. What do you think I should do? Because that means they're being mindful and taking action and leveraging the things they're paying for.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to leave it with. I'm really excited this week. This is like, again, every year we've been able to level up our retreat experiences in a variety of different ways. This year's really more about the online experience and doing it over 6 days. The next 5 are going to be continuously even more value, but that's all I got, Carrie. I kind of want to kick it to you too. And also I'm excited you're joining too. We were talking about this morning. We were walking to get breakfast. Like we're just really excited the opportunity to share this stuff with you guys together collaboratively and inviting that for you guys as well to, if there's someone that you think could value from this, that's not just you, share it with them. Yeah. Invite them to watch this with you. Literally every session, I'm offering coaching. We're offering our free coaching resources to you guys. So take advantage of it.
And another thing I was going to say is to that point we're both really excited to be here and to be doing this together because we've never done anything like this together because we've only been together this year. And this is the first health retreat that we've done. It's the first virtual one that we've done. But inevitably throughout these days, as we're going back and forth and as we're bringing other people in, you guys are going to get tidbits on relationship health as well as you kind of watch the dynamic unfold with he and I, and you see how our philosophies overlap, because that's a big part of health and wellness too, is like, what do your relationships look like? What do your closest relationships look like? Your very closest. And then, like we said, the 5 that are closest to you. So I'm really excited for you guys to get a glimpse into that. And then some more specific information on Saturday, the closing day, as to how important that is for health and wellness. So here we go.
So thanks y'all again. Cheers, everybody. Again, more people are calling me. So that's going to be the cue.
Nice.
And nice. I actually know who that is. That's actually, so I'm going to actually share you guys a story really quick. The person who's just calling me is from the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. I don't know if you guys know about this. What's interesting is businesses will have their rating. Fun fact, we're an A+ on the BBB. So this person's calling me just to verify a couple things. I could just tell from the name, but that's another piece of what we'll go over when like even functional fitness movements and some things, how to pick out who to work with. Because that's something, if a client isn't a good fit for me or someone on my team, I offer them like, listen, if you're going to work with someone else, I'll help you even in that process of picking who to work with. But with that being said, we're going to cheers across the board.
Cheers.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Now we get to end the live streams on all the platforms, which is another fun piece of it. You can hit that one.
Oh,
hit
this
this
one.
one.
I don't know anything about TikTok. I need to like.
So you don't know how to end a TikTok too.